Hey guys, quick note at the beginning of this part 2 video. If you didn't watch part 1, you might want to because a lot of this won't make sense. In part 1 we outlined a decision problem for people deciding how much of a non-renewable resource to consume, and we showed that incentives are often in place for overconsumption of the good in period 1, so that people in period 1 benefit at the expense of people in later periods. So with no further ado, let's pick up where we left off. There is a loss in this market if in period 1 we behave according to an unregulated market. We will actually create a loss for society overall over time. In this regard, this is sometimes referred to as an externality in time. Now, how would we go about fixing this externality? Well, one common way is to put a tax on it. A resource depletion tax is what it would be called in this case. Now, what value do you set the tax at? Well, let me clear this up for just a second. Well, now we come back to this point here. You see, the height here, where these two curves meet, is referred to as the user cost. And that user cost is the value of the externality at the optimal point. It's the cost that we impose on the future by our current consumption. And so how would I get that value? Well, I would plug 52 into either of my functions. I could say 2 times 52 minus 80 would be 104 minus 80 equals 24. My user cost, my intertemporal externality, is $24, which means if I put a tax on this good of $24 per unit, then I will be back at this happy place where society's net benefits over time are maximized. And I will correct for the potential market failure that would have been if we would have increased production further. So real quick, I want to show you what all this kind of looks like back on our supply and demand graph. Oof, let me clean that up. That's kind of ugly. So if we consume the good, if we consume 40 or less units of the good, we don't create any extra cost, because in period 2 they can consume as much as they want. But once we consume 40 units, every unit we consume creates some cost on the future. And so we get a divergence of sorts between the supply curve and the actual cost as given by this S prime. As we consume more, we create additional costs on the future, and those additional costs are the externality that we're worried about. Now, at our optimal quantity of 52, you're going to find that there is a gap between the supply curve and the demand curve. On our supply curve, we've got a value of 124, and on our demand curve, we've got a price of 148. That $24 gap between them is the externality. It's what we drew down here as the user cost. That's how these graphs are correlating with each other. Now, how would we fix this externality? Well, we could put a tax on the suppliers, which has the effect of shifting their curve upwards by $24. And when we do that, it will make this be their new equilibrium. So, I don't know if this is helpful for you guys. If not, too bad. Sorry it was a long video, but if it was, good. Good luck and happy econing. Thanks for watching.